Here are the video solutions for Pearson Edexcel Functional Skills Maths Level 2. This is section A, which is the non-calculator section, and this is from set 9. So let's scroll down to question number 1. So we want to estimate the price or the cost of filling a tank with petrol. So if we weren't estimating, it would be 48 multiplied by 126.7p. Now 48 litres, I'm just going to round that, I'm going to call that 50 litres. So I've rounded that one up a little bit. So that's good. If I'm rounding this one up and we're still less than £70, then we know for sure that with a lower value it's going to be less than £70. Now usually I would round to one significant figure, and that would mean that I would be rounding this to the nearest 100, so that would be 100 pence, which would be £1. And 50 times £1 is £50. However, the problem with that is, although it's nice and convenient, I've rounded this down massively. So you could say, well, Shannon's right, but maybe it's only because we've significantly reduced the price. So I would be tempted just to round this up a little bit, so that we're approximating, but with the worst case scenario. So we're suggesting that the tank is got a greater capacity, and let's make the petrol more expensive than what we know it to be. So I would round that up to 130p. Okay, so now all we need to do is calculate 50 times 130. I'm just going to do 13 times by 5 and add in 2 zeros. 5 times 3 is 15, carry 1. 1 5 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So that comes to 6500 pence, and that is the same as £65. So yes, Shannon is correct. What was the actual question? You use estimation to check if Shannon is correct. Yes, so you can say yes, Shannon is correct. And maybe just put in brackets just to clarify, it was £65, which we all know is less than 70. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to take away the 150 from the 900. So see how many visitor spaces we are going to get. And you could use a column, but 150, I take away 100, then take away a 50. 900 take 100 is 800, and then if I take away a 50, that is 750. So I want to work out 6% of 750, and then oh no, I don't need to subtract, I just need to simply work out 6% of 750. Well, 1% is 750 divided by 100, so 1% is 7.5. So 6% is going to be 7.5 multiplied by 6. So let's work out 75 times by 6. 5 6 is a 30, carry 3. 7 6 is a 42, 43, 44, 45. So therefore 6% is going to be, well, it's not 450, we need one decimal place, so that would be 45.0, in other words, 45. Okay, so we want to find the median. Now we need to remember that the median is the value in the middle, but only when they are put in order. So smallest first, 12, well, you can put as biggest first if you want, but I think smallest to largest is easier. The next smallest is 12.1. 12.45, 12.62, 12.738, 12.9 and 12.96. So to find the one in the middle, I'm going to cross one off the left and one off the right. I'm going to do the same again, and I've exposed one in the middle, which is 12.62. Done. B, 7/8 take away 3/5. I'm going to use for adding and subtracting fractions, I use the crisscross smiley face routine. 7 5s are 35, minus 3 times 8, which is 24, all over 8 times 5, which is 40, so crisscross smiley face. 35 take 24 is 11, so the answer is 11 over 40. Question number 4. So first of all, we need to measure this. Now, if you've printed it out on the correct size paper, then this should be 16 centimetres, and this is 10 centimetres. Now, 1 to 50 means that 1 centimetre represents 50 centimetres in real life. So 10 centimetres, that's going to be 10 times by 50, which is 500 centimetres, and 500 centimetres is 5 metres. So this is 5 metres. And here we've got 16 times by 50. So when I multiply by 50, I multiply by 100 and then half the answer. So if I multiply this by 100, that is 1600, and then divide that by 2, that's going to be 800 centimetres, which is 8 metres. So this dimension here is 8 metres. So therefore, the area is going to be 5 multiplied by 8, which is 40 square metres. So that's the key figure, just working out the area there and using the scale factor. Okay, so we're told here that Rafi uses the mode. So what is the most common value? Which one appears the most? Well, 1300 appears once, twice, 3 times. So let me get rid of those two. 1350 appears twice. 1325 appears once. 1340 once. 1290 once. So 1300 is the mode. And we've been told 1.5 times. So what is 1.5 times 1.5 multiplied by 1300? Well, that's the same as 1 lot of 1300 plus a half of 1300. So 1 times 1300 is 1300, half of 1300 is 650. 1300 plus 650 is 1950. Okay, so this is the cost per square meter. We know it's 40 square meters. So what we need to do now is simply 1950 times by 40. So I would simply do 195 times by 4 and then put 2 zeros in the final answer at the end. Okay, 4 5s are 20, carry 2. 9 times 4 is 36, 37, 38, carry 3. 1 4 is 4, 5, 6, 7. So therefore, as I said, I just need to add in the 2 zeros that I, for convenience, just ignored. So there is the total cost, £78,000. And that is the end of section A. Here are the video solutions for Pearson Edexcel Functional Skills Maths Level 2. This is section B, which is the calculator section, and this is set 9. Okay, so let's take a look at question number 1. Talia owns a chocolate factory. The workers in the factory work 7 hours per day and they produce 65 boxes of chocolate per hour. So therefore per day that's going to be 7 times by 65 boxes, which is 455 boxes per day. Talia gets an order for 9,100 boxes. And so how many days is that? Well, how many 455s go into 9100? In other words, what is 9100 divided by 455? And the answer is 20. So it will take 20 days. Okay, question number 2. So we know that 6 machines take 3.5 hours. So I'll just write 3.5 hours. So how long would it take if there are only 4 machines working? Okay, so it's a bit irritating. Of course, it's deliberate that they've chosen 4 but not 3. If it was 3 machines working, this would be quite easy. If it was 3 machines, that's half the number of machines. And a lot of people would be tempted to half this amount here as well. But actually, if the number of machines is halved, the amount of time it would take would be double. So as one halves, the other one doubles. So that would be 7 hours, for example. Now, how do I get from 6 to 4? Well, difficult. So what we need to do is work out how long would it take if there was only 1 machine in operation. So if there's only 1 machine, that is 6 times fewer machines. So we're dividing by 6. So therefore, we need to multiply 3.5 by 6, and that would be 21 hours. So for the same job, if it takes 6 machines, 3.5 hours, 1 machine would take 21 hours. But we've got 4 machines, so that's 4 times as many machines. So that's going to be 4 times less time. And 21 divided by 4 is 5.25 hours. So there's our answer. And 0.25, you could say that's a quarter of an hour. So you could say 5 hours, 15 minutes. Of course, 5.25 hours is perfectly acceptable as well. Okay, so Jensen thinks the number of gas units used to heat this house each day is more consistent in October than in the 10 days in January. Okay, so October, we know the range was 11, and January, well, what is the range? It's the range not of the temperature but of the number of gas units. So what is the value here? And what is the value here? So to go from 10 to 20 with 5 lines, that means each line represents 2. So 20, 22, 24. So the range is going to be 24 minus, this one here is 1 line below 8. 24 take 8, so that is 16. Okay, so when the range is smaller, that is more consistent. When the range is greater, that is less consistent. So Jensen thinks the number of gas units used to heat this house each day is more consistent in October. He is correct. So yeah, you could just say Jensen is correct as the range is less. 11 is less than 16. There we go. Jensen also thinks there is no relationship between the outside temperature and the number of gas units used to heat this house in these 10 days in January. So this was January here. So let me just get rid of what I've done so far. So can I draw in a line of best fit? That is the key question here. Well, the answer, so a line of best fit is, can I draw a line that cuts through the middle of the data, trying to keep the dots as close as possible to the line and trying to more or less make sure there's the same number above and below. So the answer is yes, I can draw a straight line. Basically these dots fit a pattern, and that shows negative correlation because this line is going down. So that does show that there is a relationship between temperature and number of gas units. So as the outside temperature increases, the number of gas units sold decreases. So is Jensen correct? No. We can say there is negative correlation because that line is going down. As temperature decreases, as the temperature increases, because the temperature is along the bottom, so the temperature is increasing and the number of gas units sold is decreasing. So as the temperature increases, the number of gas units sold decreases. So you need to remember, for negative correlations, a line going down, so as one value goes up, the other value goes down, as opposed to positive correlation, which would look like that, which means as one value goes up, the other value goes up as well. Question number 4. So out of the total 653.64 tonnes, how much was recycled? So what we need to do is just add up these values here, and if we add up all of these values together, we get 601.26. So we've got a funny fraction. It's only a funny fraction because we've got decimals involved. To turn a fraction into a percentage, it's top divided by bottom times by 100. So 601.26 divided by 653.64 multiplied by 100, and that comes to 91.98. The number carries on, but we only want the nearest whole number, and since the first decimal place is a 9, that will therefore round up to 92%. Okay, question number 5. So what we need to do first of all is work out the circumference of this circle here. Now the formula for the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. Okay, so here we know that the diameter of the big circle is 14, so therefore the radius is going to be 7. So therefore it's 7 meters from the center to the outside edge. Now we only want the radius of this smaller circle, so that's going to be 7 meters minus 75 centimeters. So as we've got a discrepancy in the units here, I'm going to turn the meters into centimeters. So as there are 100 centimeters in a meter, times 7 by 100, and 7 take away 75 is 625 centimeters. So that is the radius. So 2 pi r is what we need to do here. So that's going to be 2 times by 3.14 times by 625. We'll keep it in centimeters since we're planting a bulb every 25 centimetres along, and that comes to 3925. So if we're planting a bulb every 25 centimetres, well, how many 25 centimetres are there in 3,925 centimetres? Well, the answer to that is, what is 3925 divided by 25? And that is 157. So that's the number of bulbs we need to plant. Now, if they're sold in packs of 16, how many 16s go into 157? Again, the question is now, what is 157 divided by 16? And 157 divided by 16 is 9.8125. So it's more than 9 packs, so therefore we're going to need to round this up to 10 packs, and not because 9.8125 is closer to 10 than 9, just because it's slightly more than 9. 9 packs is not going to be enough to give us 157 bulbs. 10 will be more than enough, and we'll have a few left over, no doubt. So the answer here is 10. Okay, so question number 6. So Andrew is a 51-year-old man, so therefore he needs to be getting a qualifying time of 3 hours and 14. So if he's running at 8 miles per hour and the marathon's 26.2 miles long, how long will that take him? Well, speed is the distance divided by the time. So we just need to flip this formula around. So therefore time is the distance divided by the speed. So the time is going to be the distance, which is 26.2 miles, divided by his speed, which is 8 miles per hour. So therefore the time is going to be 3.275 hours. Now, what is this in hours and minutes? A lot of people would think it's 3 hours and 27 minutes or something like that, but remember that well, there's 60 minutes in an hour, not 100. Here our calculator's just using the decimal system. So we know that is, actually let me say, we know that's 3 hours, and then we've got this 0.275 of an hour. So I'm just going to turn this into minutes. Now, to turn an hour into minutes, well, we know that 1 hour is 60 minutes. So to go from hours to minutes, we just multiply by 60. So 0.275 times by 60 is 16.5. So this is sort of getting a bit messy here. So this is 3 hours and 16, well, it's just over 3 hours, 16 minutes. And he needs 3 hours, 14 minutes. So Andrew thinks he will need to run at a faster speed to be able to qualify. Yes, he is correct, as his current speed means he'll complete the marathon in just over 3 hours 16, and the target was 3 hours 14. Okay, so here we need to do a net of the pyramid. Now the net is going to be all these shapes. So we've got a square base and then 4 triangles. Now the square base is 4 by 4, so I'm going to try and put it somewhere in the middle because I know I need a triangle with a height of 2.5. So there, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, perfect. So if I put my 4 by 4, actually that's not going to work. Let me just delete that. It's a bit too high. I mean, I want to make sure it stays within the paper, within the graph paper here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, it's better if you, well, it's imperative you use a ruler. So that's the square base, and now I just need to do 4 triangles on each edge here, and it's got a height of 2.5. So that's going to be 1, 2, 2.5 to there. So there we go. So there is one triangle. There is the second, and 1, 2.5. 1, 2.5, and there we go. As I say, use a ruler and it'll be much more accurate. Okay, so the base of a tin of paint is placed on the floor. The tin of paint is in the shape of a cylinder. So let's just do a quick sketch of a cylinder. So it's a circular prism. The top face is a circle, and the plan view, we're looking at it from above. So all we will see is a circle. Done. Okay, so what we need to do with this question, first of all, is to turn £3,500 into kilos. Now, £3,500 doesn't feature on here. However, we can get 35, and 35 is a good point. What we're looking for is somewhere where we can take an easy reading for pounds and kilos. So I was originally looking at 20 pounds is 9 kilos, but then I realised actually if I go for 35, because that is basically 3,500 minus 2 zeros, then it's going to be a lot easier. So 35 goes to, let's write this down first of all, so 35 pounds is, well, I'm not saying it's exactly, but I'm going to go for 16 kilos, so therefore 3,500 pounds is going to be 1,600 kilos. Okay, so, and the ratio of, I'll just write this over here, cement to sand to gravel is 1 to 2 to 5. So therefore 1/8 is cement, 2/8 is sand, and 5/8 is gravel. Where does the number 8 come from? Well, 5 plus 2 plus 1 is 8. Okay, so for the cement, we want 1/8 of 1,600 kilos. For the sand, we want 2/8 of 1,600, and for the gravel, we want 5/8 of 1,600. So for the cement, 1/8 of 1,600 is 1,600 divided by 8, which is 200 kilos. If 1/8 is 200, then 2/8 is going to be double that, so 400 kilos. And 5/8 of 1,600, well, that's 1,600 divided by 8 times by 5. So take your total, divide by the number on the bottom, and then multiply by the number on the top. Or you could have just multiplied this one by 5, I suppose, which is probably easier actually. So 1,000 kilos. Okay, and we are done. Now, let's just write these in here. So 200, 400, 1,000. Show a check of your ratio calculation. Well, I would always do this. I would add these together, 200 plus 400 plus 1,000. That is 1,600. And was that what we were sharing to begin with? Yes, we were sharing 1,600 kilos in that ratio. So we know we've probably got it correct. Okay, so we want the coordinates of point B. So remember that we need to go horizontally along first. So we're going along to -5 and then down to -4. So the coordinates are -5, -4. Point D is a point on the grid so that we're creating a trapezium that's got 2 right angles and one side of length 9 centimeters. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this side is going to be 7. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, right, so I'm thinking point D has got to be over here somewhere, then we can create a trapezium. And if the key feature of a trapezium is it has one pair of parallel sides. So if this has 2 right angles, then this is one obvious right angle here, and if I do another right angle here, now I just need to make sure that this is 9 centimeters long, or 9 units rather. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there is D there, and there we go. There is my trapezium. Do I need to plot a possible position for D on the grid? Oh, okay, there we go. So D is at 4, 1. It doesn't state that you need the coordinates, just you need to just stick it down there. Probably another option would have been you could put D somewhere up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So D could have been here, and we could have created a trapezium like so. That would have worked as well. We'll still have, and that would have had one right angle here and another right angle there. So 2 options there. Okay, so this question is not too bad. They've given you the formula. So the volume is 1/3 of pi r squared h. So I would do 3.14 for pi multiplied by the radius, which is, if the diameter is 8, then the radius is half that, so 4. 3.14 times 4 times 4 times by 12.8, and we want 1/3 of it, so divide by 3. And if you type that into your calculator, you'll get 214.3 3573 recurring, so maybe it would be sensible to round that to the nearest, well, maybe just do 2 decimal places, it doesn't really matter. 214.36, and it does say state the units, or as it's a volume, this is going to be centimetres cubed. Okay, so question 11. Okay, so for question 11, starts off relatively simply. We need to work out the total costs and the total sales. It's working out the percentage profit that might cause a bit of an issue. So let's have a look at the costs. I'm just going to write down here the costs. So 7 lots of 12.50, and that comes to 87.50. We've got 10.5 lots of £6.90. That comes to £72.45. And we've got £82.50 for the cushions. So the total cost is going to be these 3 figures added together, and that comes to £242.45. Over here I'm going to do the sales. So how many tables was it? It was 3 tables and 12 chairs. So that's 12 times by 32, which is 384. And it's 3 lots of 127, which is 381. So the total sales is these 2 figures added together. That comes to 765. So the percentage profit is the percentage change from this figure here to this figure here, and the formula for percentage change is the difference divided by the original multiplied by 100. In terms of percentage profit, you could see it as difference in the prices divided by the costs times by 100. So the difference is going to be 765 take away 242.45, and that is 522.55. So our final calculation is simply, this is the difference, 522.55 over the original, or the cost, well, what was it originally before it went up? Well, that's the 242.45. And we're going to multiply that by 100. So 522.55 divided by 242.45 times 100, and this is where a problem might occur, or mind you, this formula might have caused a few issues, is 215.528.975. So to 1 decimal place means, let's look at the second decimal place, it's a 2, so that will round down to 215.5%. Now, some people will not like this answer because it's greater than 100. Well, let's think of it this way. If you buy something for £10 and you then sell it for £20, there's a difference of 10 divided by, what was it originally? 10 times 100. 10 divided by 10 is 1, and 1 times 100 is 100. So this is a 100% increase. So when something doubles in value, that is a 100% increase. So just looking at the figures, then what we're looking at is something that it must have at least, well, it must have more than doubled, and it's certainly more than doubled because it's gone from 245 to 765. So just remember that a 100% increase means something has doubled in value, and actually if you're interested, a 200% increase means it has tripled in value. So if this is 215.5%, then it must have at least tripled in value, and if you multiply this figure by 3, it's still less than 765. So this number here, the 215.5, is indeed correct. Okay, let's move on to the final question. So we have 60 people, and the 60 people is the total of the frequency column. So the issue here is we've got 6 people who have had between 1 and 15 driving lessons. Now these 6 people might have all had 1 lesson, or they might all have had 15. So what do we do? Well, we're going to assume that all 6 of them had exactly the midpoint of 1 to 15. Now the midpoint of 1 to 15 is simply 1 plus 15 divided by 2. 1 plus 15 is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So the midpoint here is 8. 16 to 30, what's the midpoint of that? That is, well, 16, not 13, 16 plus 30 divided by 2. And 16 plus 30 is 46. 46 divided by 2 is 23. So sometimes the midpoint is really easy. You don't actually need to do this calculation, but 31 plus 45 divided by 2, here the numbers are a little bit of a pain. That comes to, so 31 plus 45, that is 76. Divide that by 2 is 38. And the final one, 46 plus 60 divided by 2 comes to 106. 106 divided by 2 is 53. There we go. So we've got the midpoints. So what we're saying here is that 6 people we think had 8 lessons each. So therefore the total number of lessons is going to be 6 times 8, which is 48. So with these estimated means, what you need to do is midpoint column, and then we're going to do an estimated total column, which is the frequency times by midpoint. It helps if you understand why we're doing this, but some people just know, work at the midpoint, multiply across, and so the reason we're multiplying across is we know that there are 6 people, we don't know how many lessons they have had, so we're assuming it's 8, and therefore the total is 6 times 8 of these 6 people, which is 48 lessons. 18 times 23 is 414. 25 times 38 is 950. And 11 times 53 is 583. So the total of all of them combined is these subtotals added together. So our total, in fact, it's an estimated total, and the reason why it's an estimate is because we're going off the midpoint, because we don't know exactly how many lessons they've had. So the estimated mean is going to be our estimated total divided by the number of people, which we know to be 60, which is the total of the frequency column, but I didn't need to add it up because I believe they, yes, they did tell us there. And 1995 divided by 60 comes to 33.25 lessons per person. So this is the estimated mean. Jasmine estimates that the mean number is more than 35. Well, Jasmine is wrong. It's 3325, not a number, not 35 or more. So I'll just put 35 plus. Okay, I don't think we really need to clarify this. We've clearly shown how we've got our answer. So there we go. Use a reverse calculation to show a check of your answer. Well, the final calculation we did was 1995 divided by 60 to get 33.25. So instead of dividing by 60, let's move that over to this side where it will become multiplied by 60, and 33.25 times by 60, it is 1995. So since this is correct, this must be correct as well. One of the 60 people is chosen at random. What's the probability that this person had more than 30 lessons? So out of the 60, how many had more than 30? Well, let's take a look. Okay, so that's 25 plus 11, which is 36. So 36 out of 60. Now if we want to give the answer as a decimal, remember this line of a fraction means divide. And what is 36 divided by 60? 36 divided by 60 is 0.6. There we go, and that's the end of the assessment.